What's up, everybody? So this video finna be about. By the way, this is Jackie. I think I need to start saying my name. This is Jackie, ma'am. Anyway, so this video is gonna be about how you can take the universe's lead in order to make the correct forward movements and steps and decisions. Not really decisions, but make sure that you're going down the right path. So if you notice, and I'm hoping by now that whether, if you notice, I'm just going to say it like this. If you notice, and I'm hoping that we all can see these things by now, especially if you're watching me, what I would call, or what we call, synchronicities throughout the day, right? It could be the dumbest ass synchronicity in the world, and you're like, what the fuck? Oh my God. And it'll blow the fuck out you. It blows me, even the dumbest ones. But once those synchronicities start happening and you are packed, because see, it's so mind-blowing to us, it causes us to notice them more and more because it's amazing. I remember when I first started noticing synchronicities. And they were just numbers. They were just the times of the day. I didn't even know what numbers. I didn't know anything about numerology for real. But I can remember back when I was a little girl, I would always see 1049 every fucking morning. Every morning, it never fail. But I wasn't aware enough to even be shocked by that for real, because I thought it was a coincidence. But now, by this point that we're in, those coincidences, we would be a fool to think that they're still coincidences, because nothing happen by chance that motherfucking much. So, once you start noticing the synchronicities as time goes by, especially if you're trying to do a lot of spiritual work on yourself, and you start learning more about synchronicities, spirituality, other people's stories and how things and other people's experiences, so that you won't think that you're all alone in this and think that, oh, this can't be this got to be a coincidence, because this type shit don't happen. But once you start noticing that, yeah, this shit happens to a lot of people. And it's and sometimes people can tell you stuff and it go right over your fucking head, even though you understood every word that they said. But it go right over your goddamn head. And then you'll come back to that same information or that same type of information and see the bigger picture, because you went through the time that it took of spirit cultivating you, showing you things. My bad. Cultivating you, showing you things in order to groom and educate you on the fact, or begin to shape and mold the spiritual being that you now are, or now will soon become more of. And that's going to, with the education of it all, because when the spirit is the educator, it's hard to catch on to that fact because you just don't expect no shit like that. But anyways, once you start realizing and catching on to what's really going on, it'll more and more take the veil off of your eyes and make you actually see that this is. So when this happens, it has something to do. Well, I'm gonna say it like this. So when any synchronicities happen, it has something to do with what you've created, or sometimes what you're about to create, or what your possibilities of creating are. And it all goes back to your thoughts. Because I noticed that I could be having a passion. If I was really, let me see. No, I ain't finna do that right now. I was finna say I could find a synchronicity right now if I wanted to. Because I noticed that whenever I'm having a passionate conversation with someone, especially in face to face, and especially if it's one of my family members, especially if it's one of my family members, especially during Libra season. Oh my God, spirit was hot as hell during that time. But at the same time, I like to think that as we go through these seasons, that whatever kind of gift or whatever the focus is throughout that season or month, that although it may be heightened during that particular season, we still, it was like a lesson learned, and you'll never forget. You don't forget how to ride a bike. You might could ride a bike better than you could when you were 12. You might could ride a bike real good at 12, and then when you're 50-some years old, you still know how to ride that bike, but you got to get back used to it. So it's kind of like after the season is over, I would like to think that those gifts and that information and those DNA codes, or however you want to look at the embedding of the what the spirit is trying to bestow upon you, is still carried on. It's like a broom. Whatever you sweep up, that shit, it could pile up to a mountain, but it's still there. And it might not be too much focus on it, but it's still there. You can pull it out if you want to. I like to think that when we go through the seasons and have those activations, that they stick with us, even though they might not be at the height point that they were at during that time, but we can pull it out whenever we get ready. And I'm saying all that to say, during Libra season, boy, I know I got some DNA light codes. I was on one. But Spirit had me on one. But yeah, I noticed that if I talk about a passionate conversation about life and about my beliefs, about my knowings, I don't like to say beliefs or faith, about my knowings, but you do have to start off with belief and faith first. But I noticed that the spirit would just start dropping synchronicities all around me to where everybody could see it. And then people be like, oh God. And so I always wonder what is that like from that person's perspective versus mine. I know, to me, when I first started noticing the synchronicities, that it would shock me. Sometimes I'd cry and I'd be so upset that I couldn't tell nobody. Ain't nobody to tell. They're not gonna understand. These are my personal synchronicities. But so the synchronicities, though, I'm gonna use that again as an example of being around my friends and family during those passionate moments during Libra season, and I'm gonna say throughout the rest of my life, it's gonna be like that. The synchronicities that pops up would be something that no one could deny, and it's pointing to exactly what it is that I'm. So whenever you're pointing to your heart issues, whenever you're focused on heart issues that's regarding the things that your heart is really intent upon, whether they're good or bad, because that's the reason why we have to do the spiritual work, so that we can differentiate what we should focus on, what we should keep and let stay inside of our heart, and what we should try to remove, and what we should make sure that we don't focus on from a passionate, heart-filled place. Because whatever it is that you focus on. Okay, so Brian Scott, I was just watching Brian Scott. That's my boy. I was just watching one of his videos, and the video was saying that your thoughts are magnetic. Ooh, your thoughts are magnetic, and your emotions or feelings towards those thoughts is like the strength of the magnet. It gives it that push or pull or whatever. So whatever you're noticing, the synchronicities that you're noticing, know that they have something to do with what's going on inside of you emotionally, at the time. Because if you're noticing the synchronicities, that's the strength behind the thought of the magnet. You could have a thought that's not very strong, that you don't really care about, or really for real, those are the ones that be the synchronicities for some reason. But I guess it's because it's a subconscious thing that we're not realizing, that we're inadvertently focusing on from a heart space. That's the part that you got to figure out for yourself, so that you can be able to work your own magic. But whenever I talk about something passionate as hell, or my heart is kind of full, it don't even have to be about the subject. If my heart is full at the time, I can see synchronicities all around me. And those synchronicities, anything with your heart, you personally, if you're balanced and you've done your inner work to know the difference and what to focus on and not to focus on emotionally and passionately, then your heart will be leading you always to the positive thing. But anytime your heart is not going to be in alignment, you'll have some battle within. You won't quite know how to feel, because the heart won't be at its full 100%, magnetic strength. But anyway, so what was this movie? What was this video about? I forgot what I decided to call it. The synchronicities and how they guide you. So, for instance, you can have something on your mind like a new car. Don't you know you always see the car everywhere you go? It's because that's something that's just passionately in your heart. And in order to strengthen that, you can just start adding energy to it by maybe thinking about the car. No, because we think that's how the synchronicity started. But looking at pictures of the car, or drawing the car, writing the car down, putting your name next to the name of the car and shit like that. And before you know it, you might start seeing bigger synchronicities, like somebody that you know personally got the car, and it's like, God damn, bitch, that's why I was thinking about the car. Then you don't want to think about it no more. No, keep thinking about that bitch, because you brought that synchronicity in. It might not be how you wanted to, but it's the process. And at that time, it wasn't time for you to get the car, but you keep on thinking about it. And I ain't even really talking about no car for real. what I would prefer that we all focus on and use these synchronicities and use our creative abilities is to become a stronger individual or soul and stand into our creative power and do what it is that we're actually supposed to be doing here on earth, which is to become a higher conscious being. And by being on the spiritual path, that's going to cause you're already going to be focusing on that. So your synchronicities that you're going to be calling in are going to be just like that. And eventually you have no choice but to find yourself in that higher consciousness that you were that you were working towards. I'm finna run out of time, man. I'm gonna cut the video off right here. That wasn't too much information, I know, but hey, shit, I'm just not starting myself. And I'm trying to make sure that I keep my synchronicities and my vision strong with emotions and strong with thoughts and actions, because it takes actions, thoughts, and emotions to manifest something. Also, damn, I can't pull it up. It's on my phone. There was something in my phone I want to pull up and read, but fuck it. Bye, y'all. I ain't got but 3 minutes anyway.